Hello, everyone. Welcome to Teacher's Table Talkback session. This time we are talking right now with one of the two dynamic duos, but the other is coming. John is running a little late. I'm just going to chalk it up to California traffic, even though that might not be an actual thing where he lives, because California is a big state. I get it, but that's the joke I'm going to make. But we are here with Marlena. So thank you for joining us, and we are going to get started in a moment. I first want to welcome everybody to the Teacher's Table. This is a community that's sort of open to everyone joining us at the table to sort of nerd out a little bit on teacher things, share out ideas, ask questions. These special teacher talkbacks, that's what these experts here, if you will. They've tried and true methods, but they also know lots of you have done these tried and true methods, and they'd probably love to hear from you. So this is a great time to have a nice back and forth with sort of the designers of Edu Protocols. And I'm so excited to do this. This is going to be great. And one of the etiquettes I like on the live stream, if you guys want to ask something, if you could put actually my name in front of it, because then it highlights it. So if you put at Mr. Matera in the YouTube chat, I don't know if you've ever done a YouTube chatter before or not, but if you put at and then say start going MR, boom, my name will come and you hit it, and then you type the rest of your message and it'll highlight it for me so I know to bring this up and ask your question. It's super awesome. It's slick. You're all gonna dig it. So let's see who we have here. Let's go to the top. We got William Wooster made a template for the not random 5 emoji paragraph with 5 themes of geography. That's pretty awesome. Kathy Sue made it. Good afternoon. She's on your West Coast time.
We really love it when people make things. If they share it at the hashtag EduProtocols. John also has a Facebook, which honestly I love the Facebook, but I just don't have time to be in it, so I couldn't even tell you how to get there. But I'm sure it's EduProtocols. But when people share back, then some of those we take and put on the website so other people can see them, and you can share with other people that way. Just make sure you tag your name on it so we know who you are.
Yeah, definitely. So let's see what else we have here. William says he's an 8th grade American history teacher from Michigan. Natalie is from Mexico City. Good afternoon on a cold afternoon.
Ooh, well, welcome, Natalie.
Monica Spillman's here, who did your guys' sketch note. I'm gonna actually bring Monica's sketch note up here because I want to give it a little love. I thought you did an excellent job on the sketch note, on all of them, really, for sure. But I love it. So thank you again for doing those sketch notes. Mr. Song's Games, Bobby Song from Fresno, California. Do all Californians know each other? Can I just say, do you know this person?
Oh yeah, we're like old friends.
Old friends, neighbors. I got it.
Went to college together.
We
have a huge history, right?
I absolutely love it. Amanda Gray says, "Hey guys, I'm Amanda from Nashville. I am fueled by coffee, bubbly water. I drink bubbly. Oh, and coffee. We're like the same person. I teach middle school. Amanda Gray. Holy cow, we're twinning. Jennifer Knox from Texas. I teach secondary English. Hello, everyone. Michael from Malaysia."
So I think John is knocking at this time. Is there a way to let him in?
I don't see anything on my end that says I have to approve. You should just be in. Oh, there. I think it's happening. I see something happening. Oh, now it's not happening. John, what did you do?
Oh, I said try again.
Well, Michael from Malaysia, just sitting down for my morning cup of tea. See, time zones. It's crazy.
Right.
Kim,
what you get when the planet's round.
Okay, that's right. Kim, welcome. I believe this is your first time at the teacher's table. I hope you enjoy. I hope you also found the link to Teacher's Table community on Facebook that we sent out this morning. Jennifer Knox says, hi all, hit the like button. So this is something we do on this channel. Our like goal is 15. If we get to 15, we do a little bit of a confetti dance party to show that we're all here and present, and we could easily hit that 15.
Does it count if I hit it 10 times?
Nope, unfortunately, it's one of those on-offs. If you hit it 10 times, it would be off because that's an even number. You'd want to go odd for sure.
Oh, 11.
There you go. There you go. Still would count for just one. But Carrie's here from Oklahoma. She's a high school English teacher, so that's good for us to kind of know who we got in the crowd, what they teach. All right. So John's trying to bust in here.
I see it says he joined the conversation. Oh, do I hear a voice?
I thought I heard a voice there for a hot second.
I can hear you guys.
We can't see you yet.
It's not recognizing my camera, and I hope we're off the air, but I'm not a fan of the Microsoft world, so I'm just going to leave it at that. I put my name in as John. It put me in as Joe. It's like, come on, you guys. How hard is this?
I don't know, but you are definitely not like showing up here. All right. So John, you still with us here?
I'm gonna try retoggling. Yeah, I didn't go anywhere.
That's
I'm gonna
good.
try retoggling my my USB camera again.
Ooh. All right, let's try it. He's gonna try it,
But
people.
it completely refuses to recognize it. Yeah, I don't know, Michael. I'm sorry.
That's all right. We're gonna you're just gonna be an ominous voice over us.
Hey, they got
I
me.
like it.
All right, so we got John in God mode. He's just a voice.
Oh my gosh.
Mwah.
It's not very often that I get the limelight when John is in the room. And so I finally get the limelight, and now John's the God voice. Like, what am I don't even know what to do with that.
All right, so welcome, John. Sorry we can't seem to get your video feed in, but it seems like Marlena's still jealous of the position you hold.
I didn't do anything.
All right. So you guys, I was talking to Marlena before we all went on air, and one of the things I asked is what I love. Well, what I said is I love your work because it's practical. Everything in there is usable. And one of the questions I have for you while we kind of wait for other people's questions to sort of come in here is where do you guys get your creative ideas that can be applied to everybody? I was sharing with Marlena that like I love to design things. I make like some pretty cool breakouts and some pretty cool lessons, but they're so intimately tied to like my surroundings, whether that be my textbook or the videos that like my district bought or whatever tech tools we have, like, right? It so seems tuned to like Michael Matera's resources that I couldn't really like write that lesson and be like, here's another protocol for you guys, because it really would work for me and like 4 other people on the planet Earth.
Well,
That is a great
John,
question.
yeah, John kind of came up with probably the very first Edu protocol, which was Iron Chef, and which is really just a gamified jigsaw, right? And he's created these fun pieces to it. And it took me, because I was determined, I don't know why, but I just decided that I wanted to make something else, right? So it probably took me, I don't know, maybe a year. I'm thinking, well, what about this? What about this? I'd run an idea by John. He's like, no, that's just not going to do it. I just kept coming back to it, right? And so then I think the first one was Cyber Sandwich that I created.
Yeah.
And John, then he like said, yeah, that might be good, right? Then it took us forever to name it. But I realized that naming it is really important, because when you tell kids you're going to do this, they need to attach meaning to that. And so by writing down and establishing the steps and then having it named, so you say, hey, we're going to do a cyber sandwich, the kids already know, right? Because you already taught them. So then after that first one, then they just started coming easy. And I think John too, right? John's created a bunch since then as well, like the emoji power paragraph, and Fast and Curious came after that. I don't know. We just kind of got our head into that space. And then, and maybe it's because, I don't know, but maybe it's because we pulled back from the classroom and we're not in the classroom. So we're seeing a lot of teachers in a lot of situations. I was sharing earlier that when I went into a classroom and this was just last year, by the way, but I was modeling Cyber Sandwich to a group of new teachers, and I had the teacher's classroom, and then I probably had like 20 to 25 other teachers sitting in the back of the room. And these second graders, they weren't doing very well with the technology. And I thought the way the teacher described it, they were like much better than they actually ended up being. They couldn't do anything. They couldn't put a picture in it. They couldn't get the text in it. They couldn't do anything. So I was struggling teaching this lesson as a model lesson in front of everybody. So when I finally finished that and walked away from it, it took me about a week, and I came up with Peanut Butter and Jelly, which is a modified, kind of a truncated maybe cyber sandwich, where the teacher is doing the shared reading part with the kids instead of having the kids do that independently, as a way for first and second graders to engage with that. But it came out of the necessity of being in that classroom, in that situation, that spurred me to think of it, right? But I have the benefit of being in a lot of classrooms. That's what I do every day. That's a long answer, but
No, it's not a long answer. I think I think that didn't even dawn on me. The fact that you guys both fit some sort of coach role puts you in spaces that are going to have you thinking with other teachers, like, oh, the need this teacher had for this activity, this would have been great. Like, my vantage point or viewpoint is more myopic, right? Because it's like, here are the tools I have, so I built this lesson. Oh, it was a really good lesson, but I really can't give it to anybody else.
Right. Number Mania came from our librarian in our office. We have a librarian that works in our county. We have a county office of ed, which is like a support center for some states. But she's a librarian, and so she'd come up with this research kind of a process that she followed. And so I had done infographics with my students, and so I kept thinking, like, how could I? And it just dawned on me one day, oh, it'd be really cool to use her process with my process. And that's how Number Mania came about, for creating infographics with kids, where we crowdsourced the research part, which was basically her idea. And then the kids can use the research from the entire group to create their project. It speeds up the process. It supports our ELs and our language students who are struggling with language and all kinds of good stuff, right? Okay, I think that's the longest John has ever let me talk without interrupting me. So I'm wondering if he's even on the line.
I don't know, John. It looks like his mic's off on my screen here. So, John, did we lose you, John, there?
I'm waiting for him to pop in and make a comment.
Seems like it.
I'm here. No, I was just enjoying the story. I even got my video working now.
Oh. Do you? No, not on my end. I don't think. Yeah, no. But I have a question for you, John. There's one here. It says, where does the fast and curious come from? Is there a study or research that I can get more information about it? By the way, I'm using it next week. Can't wait.
Okay, so the Fast and Curious is a good example of like what Marlena was just explaining. I had done 2 days of PD with a group of teachers, and I said, let's see how this technology thing works. So basically I said, hey, do you guys want to take a test? And the teachers were like, yeah. And I said, how do you feel about Latin roots? And they were like, we got this, we're English teachers. So I gave these English teachers a bunch of Latin roots from Michigan State, and the first round, they got 27%. And so, because they were not used to the Latin roots that they normally would do as a teacher, right? So it was new content for them. And I had actually done this with kids on paper back in about 2003. And this is maybe 2000, 14 or 15. So like 10, 12 years of thinking about it. So I gave them the test. They got 27% because they were Michigan State level Latin roots. And I'll give you an example, Michael. TORS, T-O-R-S. What's that mean?
I don't know.
Twist, like your torso.
All right.
So I got a room full of teachers getting that wrong. So now I got their attention. So I coach them up real quick on the 9 questions, and then I give them the quiz again. And then now their score is like 85%. And I'm like, you guys want to leave that stand? And they're like, nope, we want better. We're English teachers. So Michael, what's aug mean? What's the Latin root aug mean?
I don't know, like change?
It means to spin, as in an auger. Okay.
That's where
So-
I was going augment, like,
Yeah, augment's another good one, but that's not it. So, so to spin, right, to rotate. An auger does that, and so we went through the quiz the 3rd time. The class average was like 97%, 98%, and they were like, "That was amazing! You didn't have to do any direct instruction." And I said, "And what else? And you didn't need any worksheets. And what else? And you didn't need a word search. And what else?" And they go, "I don't know." And I go, "That was 12 minutes elapsed time. I took you guys from 12% to 98% in 12 minutes. You could do this with kids too." So that was kind of the birthing story of the Fast and the Curious. I would say the brain research behind it is going to be the forgetting curve. So if anybody's listening right now, look up the forgetting curve. And the forgetting curve is basically says it's spaced repetitions. So that led to the idea that what if I just gave the kids the test twice a day and eschewed the whole take home your flashcards and ignored the whole write a cruddy sentence out of the dictionary piece and just went right after the work. So if somebody wants a brain research on that, the forgetting curve is my favorite example. But my second favorite example is Moore's law of diffusion. And so basically, what I'm arguing with the Fast and Curious is that kids are going to be moving from early adopters into the late majority in their content because of the reps. So think about that for a second. We're moving them across that continuum because of the reps, because most of the time kids only get 1 or 2 reps in class with the teacher and then a test. What happens if you give them 8 reps? It turns out that their retention goes a lot higher. And I think Marlena can speak to this a little bit. You're moving the information from short-term to long-term memory. You're locking it in. And what we do in school is an inch deep and a mile wide. We throw 1,000 things at them one time. And so they never remember anything. And I will wrap up with, I love what my math teacher friends say. Would you rather have them know 100% of 60% of the content or 60% of 100% of the content? And that's what we do in school is we give them 60% of 100%. And so there's nothing ever flashes over. There's no mastery. Nothing ever goes, "Hey, look what I made, Mr. Matera." They're like, "Hey, look what I forgot." And I do that again. So that would be my answer for that. And it's really about spaced repetitions and having the kids do the work and immediate feedback.
I like your math teacher's point there,
Yeah.
That whole idea of quantity versus quality, quality versus quantity. And man, we get that wrong a lot.
We do. And
Like-
then how many times have you been in the teacher's lounge and heard a teacher say, "I went too fast, they didn't get it, we're going to have to do the test again"?
Yeah, no, I mean that happens quite a bit. Or you just hear like your future teachers, right? Like the next grade up or 2 grades up. Like, didn't they ever teach them fractions or whatever? Like,
Yeah.
like what
Yeah.
are they teaching
Well, they
down
did.
there? And like,
They did, except they only did it for 9 minutes, and that's not long enough to make it stick in your brain.
right. And then like the funny thing too is the person complaining is probably teaching in the same
The
style.
exact same way.
Yeah, right. So like they think like, well, see, I taught them fractions, but then the next grade's like, what are they doing down there?
Yeah.
Like they like,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
And just to dovetail a little bit with Marlena's answer, 8 parts was the original great grandpappy of all the
That's
Edge
true.
protocol.
I forgot
Iron-
about that one.
Iron Chef was probably the second one, but Michael, I had lightning in a bottle there for a good 4 years, and I finally went, what the heck am I doing? I could do this in other areas.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, and so then I moved to sentence parts. And then I opened a high school and I was trying to get my teachers to quit teaching in the normal way. And I even went through this. Marlena and I went for a good 6 months. She's like, John, I don't know about this. And so what I realized we needed to do as curriculum designers was to make it so universal that it was almost impossible to mess up. Because once you say, I've got a great report on the California missions, Michael's like, I'm out, bro. I'm not from California.
Right.
And once you have a great lesson plan for lesson 14 in fill in the blank publisher, 80% of the listeners are like, I'm out. But like with math reps, you're like, any content, any grade level, any subject, any curriculum, go.
No,
Now it's a thing.
That's, like I said, that's sort of the genius of it, and where I highly recommend your work to anybody, because you know it's going to be a value add, you know. And to be honest, I mean, you said in your session, like, people should be working their way up, both of you said, into like layering these and sort of moving from one to the next. And you made the comment that like we should be up to 4 when we're like really proficient, right? And I still gotta say, when I suggested to somebody, like, as an educator, for 20 some bucks to get a book full of, I don't know, even if there was like one strategy they're going to use, like, I actually think that's a pretty good value exchange there, you know. And the reality is, like, there's more than one, and like they're going to do the one, and then they're going to maybe start to work towards that proficiency you're talking about and infusing others in there.
The other part that messes with teachers is when you get good at it as an educator, you are going to be able to do 4 of these in one period. And now your Bloom's stuff is off the chart because kids are doing 4 or 5 high-level activities in one class period, which, guess what, Michael? That's the exact same thing any football, softball, baseball, or soccer coaches got their kids doing. They're not doing one activity for an hour. They're doing 7 or 8 activities at a very high level. And on Friday night or Thursday afternoon, you get to see that under the lights. But we don't approach it that way in teaching.
That's such a good point, right? Like, can you imagine the soccer coach just saying, like, we're going to do wind sprints for an hour and a half, and then practice is going to be over?
Yeah. Or
we're going to do wind sprints for 6 weeks until you can do them well. And then we'll move on to the next one, right? We don't, humans don't work that way. You know, that's kind of a constructivist theory is, you know, hands-on and moving, doing the whole piece. And then we get better at the whole piece rather than mastering one and then the next and then the next and then the next.
It's called not zeitgeist. It's a psychology term which means seeing a greater than all of the pieces. And we don't do that in school. We teach one thing for 3 weeks. Can you imagine, Michael, any sport? Like, I'm not going to assume that you know football just because you're a guy. Any sport. Let's just practice one kind of offense for the next 4 weeks.
No,
then one kind of defense for the next 4 weeks, and then one other kind of offense for the next 3 weeks. Dude, you're going to get killed in the game. You are going to get wiped out.
Not only that, but I mean, when we think about, I often say that I want those same kind of bonds, those same kind of excitement and joy that comes with joining a sport. The kids are actually with us more than their sports team. Like, yet we don't seem to have those bonds.
But we can't make that jump.
But I think a big piece, though, is what we're talking about. And I often say that like, why do we sort of belabor the point so much? Why do we teach every aspect of writing a thesis sentence, and by the time you finally release the kids to go write their thesis sentence, they don't care anymore. They're like, I'm done.
They're like, oh, I'm over this, dude.
I'm out.
Yeah.
And then we double down.
Right.
Then we double down on doing more of it. They're like, see, they don't understand it, so I got to teach them even more. And you're like, no, they just don't care anymore.
Yeah. So if they don't get it, talk more is never the answer, right? Never.
And that's why they don't remember it next year. Because you get to next year and you say, write the thesis statement, and they're like, I have no idea. But if you taught them how to write the whole, I just think it's the whole child, they're going to take that with them, right? Because they're going through the whole process. It's like, you know, when I was first teaching, I started in kindergarten my first year, and my husband was teaching high school wood shop, and he would come in all the time and say, I don't understand why high school students cannot read a ruler. And it dawned on me, well, it's because we teach measurement according to a worm in kindergarten, and to the inch in first grade, and then to the half an inch in second grade, and then to the quarter inch in third grade.
Yeah.
They never put the whole thing together. They never
Yeah,
really
exactly.
said the whole thing.
That's an interesting point. Well, we got to take a little tiny break here because we reached our like goal, and some of the people are demanding their confetti party, at which they earned. So we definitely are going to give it to them. We made our like goal, and everybody, thank you so much for being part of the Teacher's Table. It means you're focused. It means you're here. When you hit that like button, it means you're listening, you're liking it, you're enjoying the conversation. So I'm sure these two guys are enjoying it. Let's go back to our chat. Sorry for the break, but that was well earned, well deserved, everybody.
Well, and I have two other little origin stories on that, and one of them is there is a guy named Herb Childress who wrote he did, actually, it wasn't a blog post, it was a study. He's an ethnographer, and he went to a high school in Northern California, Michael, in 1998, and he ended up submitting his work to the University of Michigan. You can look it up. The title of the post is 17 Reasons Football is Better Than High School.
That's a good one. That's a good post.
And I read that in about 2004, and it was completely ripped my head off, because I was like, wow. Now, in 2004, that article was already 6 years old, but you can read it to this day, and we're still doing the same behaviors. And so he's got these 17 reasons, and he's not even a football guy. He even says, I don't even like football. I should have named it 17 Reasons Even Football is Better Than High School.
Nice.
And so he said FFA is better than high school, band is better than high school, art club is better than high school. And his point is the approach. And with FFA or art club or marching band or jazz band or any sport, it's kid-centric.
Right.
And with school, it's what we do to kids. There's a really big shift there. And so that was another one of those things. When I read it, it was really a big origin moment for me. So there was that. There was John Taylor Gatto. There was the experience with the 8 parts and seeing what kids could do. But like I said, I did that thing for 3 years before I even realized I could do this in other areas. And then there's another 4-year gap between 8 parts and sentence parts, and then Iron Chef. And then there's another 3-year gap between when Marlena made Cyber Sandwich. So it took a long time for us at first, but now we've seen the code. We're both like Neo in the Matrix now.
Nice. And you got the inside track there.
The most recent one that Marlena did, maybe my most favorite, which is Number Mania. And the baseline for Number Mania, and I'll let you explain it, Marlena, because you're the owner, but Michael, why do we give kids 35 facts to look up about for their state report? That's going to take 2 weeks. Marlena's epiphany was they just need 35 facts, but if they can all give us 1 or 2, this is only going to take 5 minutes instead of 3 weeks.
Oh, I remember when I was teaching 6th grade, and we were doing, or 5th grade, and we were doing Explorer reports, and we had to, truck down to the lab. Oh my gosh, it took weeks for these kids to accumulate their research.
Painful.
And the research, actually, that's a very small part of the whole process of putting together the reports, right? But there's the other thing that I noticed, is that the kids who were English language learners and the kids who were challenged academically, who maybe weren't as strong, had weaker research. They didn't do as good of research. So when they went into the writing phase, they were already behind.
And pooped. And demoralized.
Exactly. So how can you write a good paper if you don't even have a decent amount of good research? So by making the research collaborative, where a group, the whole class or a group of students are going to research together and share their resources, and then we as the teacher, we can come in and help kids evaluate, is it a valid source? What, is this fake news? Is it made up? Right? So we can help them vet the resources together. And then we can move together into this independent writing where the accountability is, but at least we gather the research. So when they go into that writing phase, all the kids are on a level playing field. They're all starting out at the same space, right? Now, what they put in their writing is up to them, but at least at the beginning, at the starting point, we're starting at the same space. And so that was kind of the right. That's the beginning, and then I wanted to pull that into the infographic. So then I was like, oh well, if they do the research and put in a fact and a number that they pulled out of the research, and then they use that fact and the number and the other facts and numbers that their classmates put together, and then that becomes their infographic. We can knock that out in no time. So the very first time I decided to do this with kids, it was at a high school continuation class, and I had there's a little boy in there, not little, but a high school boy, and he was really into it. We were doing the Civil War, and he was really into it. And I asked him, oh, do you like history? Is this a good topic for you? He goes, I don't really like history, but I really like math. Right? And I was like, oh my gosh, he's connecting the literature and the research and the writing to the numbers. And I have my own daughter who is very math centric and would be right there with him about connecting to the numbers. Like, it didn't matter that it was only, 7 or 17,000 or whatever the number happened to be. She would connect to that. So I just felt like it was a good way for kids who are coming from different places to find a way to connect with what we're doing.
And then I've got to add on. Remember, I said 2 origin stories, and I had the same experience as Marlena. Michael, if I give a kid a Freyer model to do by themselves, typically that's going to be 20, 25 minutes of work. But if I take that Freyer and take some scissors and cut it into 4s and give each kid one part of it, I can have everybody in the class done with a Freyer in 5 minutes, have each group present for 1 minute, and in 12 minutes we're done. And so that's the same mindset that Marlena took with the number mania is, why do we labor under the idea that each kid has to do an hour's worth of work to be ready to work? What if we put them on a rotation and all these kids are definition this week, and all these kids are attributes this week, and all these kids are, synonym or antonym or example, non-example, and then you just rotate them through the quadrants. And then I don't even know if Marlena and I have talked about this, but like in a combo class, I can have half the class doing a cyber sandwich and the other half of the class doing a totally different cyber sandwich, which they then present to each other. And now I'm doubling down with less planning than ever. And it's multi-grade.
Well, and not only that, I'm going to and on John, right? Because we love to and onto each other. Yep. Then once you get back into your face-to-face classroom, like right now in the virtual space, maybe not so much, but back in the face-to-face, you move that cyber sandwich into an independent station after the kids know how to do it well. And now the kids can rotate through that station and do it on their own, right?
And but the old way would be to lecture for 4 days until everybody knew every part, and at which time the kids never actually do any work.
Right. And here's, this is probably the most powerful thing that I think has pushed me, right, kept propelling me forward. But after I worked with that one particular class whose continuation, right, these are kids who don't want to go to school anymore. And they're coming in just to get the units, right? At the end of that class, he said, I think that's the first time I've ever finished a project.
Oof.
Okay.
That's awesome.
That is really powerful because the way we packaged it made it doable for him. And then the way we structured it made it so they completed it within one class period. It wasn't homework that was going to get lost. It wasn't pushed over till tomorrow when the momentum and the excitement is over. It was just completed in that one class period. Done.
All right, so we have a few questions for you guys.
All right.
So I'm curious some of these. William asks, how many resources would you share depending on the grade for Number Mania?
Oh, we have very different answers, which is fun.
Ooh.
Well, and you know what? It's for what grade did he give a grade?
He didn't, although I could probably look up. I forgot.
It's okay. I'll give examples. So if I were doing this with primary kids,
he teaches eighth grade American history.
Okay. So it just depends what you're doing. Don't overwhelm them, right? So if I was doing high school, I might let them research and find their own information, maybe, or I might give them a collection. Same with eighth, sixth, seventh, eighth grade. I might give them two or three, maybe. I think maybe John would just give them one. At the primary level, I would give them one, and I might even be tempted to fake up a website, just create a Google site and put on the facts that you want them to have, and then they can use that as their resource rather than actually have them on websites. Then you can make it really crisp what you need them to get out of it.
All right, the voice, the
The,
hidden
the
voice. What?
disembodied voice.
Yes.
My answer is complementary to Marlena's, but different. I am always going to start with one source because I'm a speed freak. I want this thing over in 30 minutes or less, and they will spend 20 minutes looking for the exactly right website, and I got time for that. So, Michael, I really literally rolled in on some eighth graders to do a United States Revolutionary War report. They don't even know my name, and we're up and running. We got facts within 6 minutes because I sent them to Wikipedia. I showed them how to find numbers on Wikipedia because dates can be numbers and a list of bullets can be numbers, right? So within 5 minutes, they had 35 facts in. I shared the link to the spreadsheet. Now they're dumping stuff in. And then the other angle that I take is I put in the gray space, and thanks to Marlena, you can do the Nearpod add-on in slides or flat icon, which I like better because there's no login at all. And what I had done is pre-position things like ships and forts and cannons and flags and 13 colonies in the gray area outside of the slide frame. So when you hit present, you won't see them. But that way the kids can just drag those pictures in and customize them. I'm going to tell you right now, kids, I didn't even know 27 minutes they had done a number mania. Now, as they get better with 6 or 7 reps, one day I will, you know how like when the chef lifts the lid off the meal, I will go, today, you're on your own. Number mania, survival mode. You're still only going to get X number of minutes to get your facts in. So that's my tempo because I would rather do 2 a week than 1 a month. And if it takes a whole day, I won't do 2 a week. So that's my self-imposed restriction.
All right.
Yeah.
That's a good
And
answer.
don't forget that you also can layer on that your other standards and things that you need to do. So depends, because you might be working on validating research, right? So maybe you need a little larger collection to begin with. So it just depends. I think it's flexible so that teachers can use it. Like that's what's so great about many of these EDU protocols. You can tweak them to meet your standards, your goals, whatever you need. And that's kind of the cool part about them.
Well, like my friend Scott Petrie, he teaches AP. So what he'll do is give the kids 5 guaranteed links. They need to pick the best one and tell why they picked it. So boom, just like that, you're up the scale. And so that's a mid-range between Marlena and I. It's in the middle between, here's the Wild Wild West, just go get some stuff. And then here's the Corripo over-controlled version. You only get 1 page. And then in between you have Petrie, which is like, here's 4. They're all good, but you need to pick 1 and then tell me why because you're AP students. So it works out really neat.
Did you just call me the Wild West?
Yep, I called it the Wild West.
We have another good question here. Rachel says, Number Mania sounds awesome, but I'm wondering if then some kids don't have the opportunity to learn those, deep research skills, or do you teach that separately, right? If everything's a 12-minute hack, is anybody getting that stamina of like truly poring over a Wikipedia entry and really reading it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
That's why we have 28 protocols.
Here's the question that you have to ask, all right? Does a child need to find 6 resources to do deep research? Or maybe if you're at the upper levels, maybe 2, where they can compare and contrast. Or maybe 1, and then they're comparing and contrasting the link that somebody else found. I think it's a misconception that we're thinking that, I look at myself in the workplace. Most of what I do is collaborative work. I don't do all the work. I can't tell you the last time I did everything all by myself with no input, no feedback, no help from my team. Mm-hmm. We work collaboratively. effectively, right? So I think when you ask that kind of question, it's like, to what extent do kids actually need to do deep research? Is it 10 hours of research? Is it 4 hours of research? Or can they do it in 20, 15, 20 minutes maybe, and also use the research of other people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then I'll give you my slightly different angle. When I taught my sophomores in English, I said, here's the deal, you guys. When you get to college, they're going to make you cite everything. But I don't got time for that. So I'm going to have you cite 3 things per paper. And then when you get to college, you can hate them, but you don't have to hate me. And my logic was, if they can cite 3 things quickly, do I really want them to cite 50 things? Is that what I want them spending their time on? The other piece is, there's a controlled release model, which is, first of all, I'm not going to do just these activities. And what Marlena and I are explaining is primarily like the first quarter. By fourth quarter, my kids will skin this stuff alive. They'll be Godzilla because of the reps. And that's the key, the reps. So if you do a project that needs 20 item annotated bibliography and you give a kid 2 weeks to do that, you're only going to do 2 of those a quarter. My kids are going to do this every day, bro. Every day for 10 minutes is going to add up. It's just like all the drops of water end up making an ocean.
No,
And
right?
we
Yeah,
do stop
that's
sometimes
that
and go
like
deeper.
genius, like compound interest, right? Like that's
Right.
the
It's
the
compound
penny,
interest
the
is the
penny a
perfect way to
day,
put it.
penny a day, right? Like makes you.
And
I forget
and we'll
what it
be in
is.
so many scenarios that I can't predict. Like one of my favorite cliches I tell people is, one time I was doing this with my 6th graders, and one of the 6th graders had a note in his answer. He said, the ancient Greeks invented sandals. And I'm like, okay, I need you to find that for me on the internet, because I don't think you're going to be able to find that. In fact, here's a $20 bill. Anybody that can find and prove that the ancient Greeks invented sandals, it's on. Or another one that I did that was really fun, Michael, to answer the question another way, I split my class in half. Half of the class had to research for their cyber. It wasn't a cyber sandwich at that time, but it was similar in flow. What they had to do was research moon landing hoaxes, right? So look at web pages about moon landing hoaxes. But here was when it got fun. The other half of the class, I met with them privately, so that the first half didn't know what they were doing. The smart money would have been, we did land on the moon, right? And then the other half would have been the hoaxes. But what I did was, I showed the kids on the anti-hoax team how to find web pages that debunked the hoaxers.
Nice.
So it was debunking hoaxers. So the group that was into the hoaxing, they started falling in love with their stuff. The flag moved. Why are the things out of alignment? Where did the dust go? Right? All this stuff. And the anti-hoaxers are like, we got this. We are going to tear them up.
Nice.
And so the point was, at the end, the kids realized that what you see on the internet is not necessarily what you see on the internet.
Sure. Which is another good skill.
And that was a 30-minute lesson. It didn't take 4 weeks.
No, I think both your answers are solid. And again,
It's a good question, though. It's a good question.
Going back to what you guys said in your session too, I mean, just that reminder that if you're really like all in on the protocols, this isn't something you dust off your shelf and say like, we're gonna do Number Mania like once this year. It's not that kind of project. This is something like you're doing possibly 4 protocols a day. Like,
a day.
So yeah, like if you have them cite 3 things, but you're doing that daily, that adds up to way more than any like probably even college level research, because they only do like 3 papers a year.
It starts turning into muscle memory. It's how they work every day. It's not even a technique anymore. It's like a lifestyle thing that's going on.
All right, so I'm going to end on this question. We got one more question I'm going to give you both. Kathy Sue asks a great question. If you guys figured out sort of the secret sauce here, you said you're in that headspace, you guys get this, when's the 3rd book coming out?
Oh, wait. We got fun news for today too, don't we, John?
Yeah. We got multiple fun newses.
So let's see a book. Well, we have a math book that we're working on right now with Jeremiah Rausch and Lisa Nowakowski, who is our principal writers on it. And that will be coming out, I think, in the spring. I think we're thinking the spring, if the editing timeline goes like it's supposed to, right? And then, do you want to tell about the other one, John?
Well, I'm thinking October, but okay. So
October.
is October spring?
Oh, maybe
Um, and then what we're
well,
working on, Michael, is a book for pre-service teachers to do in college. I want you to imagine that you've just graduated from your teacher program and you've already done and designed and executed 10 Iron Chefs and 10 Number Manias, and you've already made and executed those things. How does your first day of teaching feel now if you've got 10 or 12 Edu protocols under your belt?
Pretty awesome. Not to mention that, but also I gotta imagine, I don't know about in the state of California, but in Wisconsin you have to do a lot of times a practice lesson as part of your interview.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So
Yeah, it's in California, it's called the Teacher Performance Assessment, the TPA.
so
And
imagine.
oh
yeah,
no, he's saying as part of the interview.
I'm saying
Yeah,
like
we
to
do that.
get
Oh,
to
yeah.
get my job to come in and do
Yeah.
like 3 protocols like it's no sweat because you've been doing it already. Like that's gonna make you look like a veteran teacher. That's pretty
I
awesome.
literally have I've got a tweet from a teacher. They DM'd me and they're like, my observations tomorrow, what should I do? And I was like, okay, here we go. Fast and curious, quick cyber sandwich, wrap up with a thin slide. The dude moved his demo class 50 points in his demo lesson.
That's
The
awesome.
principal's like, that was pretty good. And he's
That's
like,
pretty
yeah, that took eight minutes to plan. We're good.
That's awesome. Well,
Right. Wait, but we have other news. I thought John was going to give the other news. If
Oh,
you
give the
go
other
to
news.
our website
Oh yeah, that other news.
at eduprotocols.com and navigate over to the Smart Start page, we have already created for you the first 4 days of school using EduProtocols as a way to build culture with your students and a way for them to learn the EduProtocols, and then you can extend those into content. So right now there is like a massive treasure trove that we have made available to teachers for the virtual or online learning. So have at it, have fun. We love to hear what you have to say about it. Please tweet back to us. We love to hear what you do with what we put out there, right?
Yeah, there's 9 protocols a day over 4 days that are pre-planned. You literally just clone the slides and go.
that's awesome. Again,
It's
guys, I super appreciate you being in the Hive Summit this year and love having you part of the Hive in general. So I hope we can double back and have you guys on again sometime. It's a pleasure, truly.
Well, thank you. It was a pleasure for us.
I know a lot of people are going to benefit by your session and your work for sure. So, like I said, thanks for helping make this year as good as any year could be.
I
And
think
thanks
we
for
have,
sharing it.
yeah, I think we have a big opportunity, and COVID by all means is horrible, but I think that it gives us an opportunity to try some things that maybe we wouldn't be trying in the classroom, and that part of it is kind of cool.
Yeah, everybody's shouting out. Thank you so much. Mr. Song Gamers says, thank you so much, guys. He can't wait to see you in person again. So it sounds like you Californians do know each other.
We hang out a bit.
That's right. That's awesome. I hope everyone has a great night and a great rest of your week. Check out some of the other Hive Summit events coming up on the Hive Summit calendar. You can get to that on the main page. And everyone, I hope you have a great rest of your evening. All right, guys, take care.